Hello, everyone. I'm Grant Cohn. That is Botond, and we are here to talk about the 49ers draft. We've been digesting it the last couple of days. At first, there's excitement. Niner fans are very happy about this one. Now let's really analyze it. Let's really give each player a grade and an overall grade for the draft. Let's start with Trey Lance, of course. And I'm going to do each player. I have a question for them to start the conversation, and then we'll give a grade. So with Trey Lance, it's not whether it was a good pick. It's whether it was worth 3 firsts and a third. And when you look at it that way, I mean, the Jaguars didn't give up that much for Trevor Lawrence. The Jets didn't give up that much for Zach Wilson. Have the Niners put too much pressure on Trey Lance?
First of all, as always, guys, I'm glad to be here. It's always a pleasure to talk with Grant on every Monday. So what I think of is I don't mind that there's too much pressure on Trey Lance shoulders, because if the pick were, for example, Justin Fields, everyone expected Justin Fields to be an instant starter in the NFL. We expected him, or most of the fans expected him to have a great production during his career from the first game until the last. But most of the people are much more. They have much more confidence in Kai Shanahan when we are talking about Trey Lance, that Trey needs to be developed by Kyle, and that's why fans are not expecting him to be a first day starter. That's why I don't think that there's pressure on him at all.
See, I look at it a different way. But maybe I think Niner fans are patient. They wanted Trey Lance. They understand the process that's ahead. But I think the national media, if he doesn't beat out Jimmy Garoppolo in training camp, that's going to be a big story. A lot of people are going to talk about it. I mean, Skip Bayless will talk about it. Stephen A. Smith will have opinions. Not that that's the end all be all, but he's going to be a big talking point. And if he starts as a rookie and doesn't throw that much, and the Niners win, but he's not the main reason they're winning, people will point fingers. People poke holes into what he did. I mean, they did it for Jimmy Garoppolo. So I feel like the bar for him is impossibly high. Like, hey man, go be the greatest. Go be the greatest quarterback. Be Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? If he doesn't achieve that, the Niners. And here's the thing about this draft. It seems to me that no matter what the other players in this draft do, if Trey Lance isn't great, this draft is going to be looked at as unsuccessful. So is there any more you could put on this 20-year-old's shoulders?
To be honest, I don't think that those experts around the league are going to think or say or write bad things about Trey Lance if he cannot beat Jimmy in the training camp, and if Lance won't start at first week, because Kyle made it clear at start that the new rookie QB will be benched while Jimmy is going to be our starter next season. So, well, I have to disagree with you.
Fair. That's fair.
Most of the experts, I see that there are going to be experts who are going to just be cucumber season journalists and make great stories about this. But to be honest, we have to be patient. That's what I said from the start when I have talked about Trey Lance, the possibility that we will draft him, and I said that he needs just patience, and he has unlimited upside. I must say that if Kai can develop him.
Hey, I hope I'm wrong. I just feel that not the local scrutiny, but the national scrutiny on this kid is going to be intense because of the trade up, not because he was picked third, because 3 first-round picks were the Niners gave up to get him. I think it's going to be big, but I do think from the little I've seen from him and heard from him, he seems built for this. He doesn't seem immature. He doesn't seem like he's uncomfortable with attention. Seems like he's very mature and ready to do this, but we'll see. I think he can do it.
Yeah, we will see. I'm waiting for him to be one of the greatest quarterback we have ever seen. I somehow I get this feeling that he can be one of the greatest quarterback in the future if Kai can do a great job developing him.
I feel like as a rookie, he can start and the offense can be fantastic and they can run the ball like 70% of the time. They don't have to pass very much. Between him and Trey Sermon and Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. and Deebo Samuel, they can probably run the ball 35, 40 times a game, throw the ball 15 to 20 times a game, but those 15 to 20 throws could be some big plays off of play action. I think I don't know if his passing numbers will be huge as a rookie. They could be efficient, but I think his overall production, when you factor in the running, will be Lamar-ish. I wouldn't be surprised if he's very successful early on. Now, again, I think people are going to be like, well, he's not really passing that much. He's running. The rest of the team's really good. They did it with Jimmy. Maybe he'll get a more favorable, outlook from people.
Yeah.
So grade the pick. What do you think?
I would give Kai for this pick an A-, and it's a minus only for the because of the price that we have paid for the third overall pick. This draft, we have seen all the other QBs being drafted after the 10th pick, so it was so much that we have paid for Trey Lance for our project QB, but on the long term, I do think that he's worth it.
I liked it too. It's the pick I would have made. I give it an A, but I don't know if he's going to be successful. And I just feel like if he isn't a perennial Pro Bowler at some point in his life, people are going to say, "Hey, man, you were a big disappointment." So, I mean, it's such a high bar for him, but he does seem like he's built to attain it. Yeah. Comment says Mahomes didn't have pressure his first year. Give him a year and let him learn the right way. Media ruins good players. Just saying. Yeah, that's true. They traded up to 10.
Between them was the hype, because as I have seen before, Mahomes wasn't hyped as much as Trey Lance is hyped right now. So
I'm just saying 3 first-round picks. It's like if you add it all up, the draft capital, like the points, it's more than what the Jaguars spent with that first pick to take Trevor Lawrence. It's like, whoa, when you think of it that way, he's almost has more pressure than Trevor Lawrence. But at the same time, he's on a better team than Trevor Lawrence. He's got better coaches than Trevor Lawrence. He's more set up to succeed. But you can't be any worse than that. I mean, you really can't. Yeah, we got you. We hear you. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. All right, let's move on. Aaron Banks, round 2. Was he a reach in your opinion?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Why?
I expected him to be drafted in the third day of the draft. Most of the people likes his size. They are saying that he is way more athletic than it seems like. But as I see him, as I watched his tapes, if we drafted him as a guard for the 49ers, it's not a great pick at all, because he just cannot fit into our scheme. Of course, Kai can do things and make him look like more athletic or other things like that, but I can't see him as an instant starter at guard right now with the current playbook. But I have a I have another perspective. I see him as a future offensive tackle, because that guy was huge when protecting QBs in college. So if I remember well, he gave up just 2 sacks during his whole career.
Yep.
In college. So as I see him, he's more like an offensive tackle. He has longer arms than a guard, and I do think that he can succeed at the tackle position. And as I see him, he will be a tackle on the long term for this team. And if that's going to be true, then this pick worth way more in my eyes than it's worth right now.
I think the Niners took this guy because all the good corners were gone. And basically their choice. I mean, the thing that's interesting about this guy is on CBS, he was ranked 106. On NFL.com, he was ranked 48, which is exactly where the Niners took him. So it seems to me that media didn't like him. He probably didn't test well. Probably wasn't that fast in his testing or whatever. But it seems like the league likes him. And I'm sure Notre Dame liked him and gave him good reviews. And I think the Niners trust those coaches. I don't know why, though, because they probably like Mike McGlinchey, too. But here's the thing. Notre Dame does have a good track record producing offensive linemen, Mike McGlinchey notwithstanding. So they may feel more confident taking someone with that pedigree than someone like Quinn Miners, who played at a Division II school or whatever and then had a good Senior Bowl. So I could see them saying like, hey, well, the media wasn't on him, but the league was. It was actually a fair place to take him. And, he doesn't necessarily fit the traditional outside zone. But I feel like the Niners are doing that less and less. Like last year, since teams were loading up to set the edge against him, they did a lot of between the tackle stuff with Jeff Wilson Jr. Now they're bringing in Trey Sermon. Now they got a quarterback who they're going to run the zone read. They might be attacking people between the tackles more next year. And maybe that's the idea. Because when you run the zone read, it's really you get that double team with the center and the guard. And it seems like this guy can push the hell out of a defensive tackle. So maybe that's the vision for it. Because, Kyle knows what he wants. I can't imagine him taking an offensive tackle who doesn't fit his run scheme. And he's like surprised by it. I think he knows exactly how he wants to use this guy. I kind of like – I got to be honest. I like the offensive line picks a lot. And you disagree with me on Trey Lance, so I'm just going to disagree with you, but I respect your opinion, Botond. You know that. I know.
All
right, so you give it a grade.
Well, right now I must say that it's a C- or a D for me. I don't like this pick at all. But if they are going to develop him as an offensive tackle, then things will change quickly in my mind. So I'm not necessarily saying that I hate this pick, but I don't like it.
Fair enough.
I don't like it. I think that there were also some great players in the second round which we could have drafted during the draft. So I'm a bit disappointed with this pick, but I understand. And in some parts of my brain can agree with you what you were saying about changing schemes. But to be honest, I can't see this is going to happen.
Yeah, I do think they're going to be changing their scheme. I think they're trying to have a more powerful team. All their wide receivers are bigger than they used to. All these guys break tackles. Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. I think what they're trying to do is have guys who can finish the game the way like Leonard Fournette did in the Super Bowl. Because Kyle's 0 for 2 in the Super Bowl, and both times he had a lead and couldn't just run the ball. It's not that hard, but he has this finesse running game with 200-pound running backs who aren't built to grind it out with a lead in the second half. Aaron Banks is the kind of guy who you remember Mikey Potty for the Niners?
Yeah, of course.
The second half of wins, he was just devastating. And I think this guy could have that kind of effect. I'm projecting here. I like this pick. I'm going to give it an A. It'll be interesting to see what happens because we're so split. That was a cool discussion. Let's move on to Trey Sermon. Do you think he will lead the 49ers in rushing next season?
Nope.
Who do you think will? And what's your projection for Trey?
I think, and it may surprise some people, Zach Wilson will lead the 49ers in rushing yards. Jeff Wilson. I'm sorry.
We got that little kid stuck in our...
Sorry.
It's okay.
So it's not Matt Pollack, just...
That's funny.
So Jeff Wilson will lead the team. It's mainly because I think that that Mostert is a bit injury prone and he won't be any younger, so he's close to 30, which is kind of a turning point for a running back in his career. And that's why I do think that although he's a monster when he's got the ball, we won't see him run as much. But Jeff Wilson proved himself that he can be a leading running back in this team, and I think that he will take that role next season. And Trey Sermon, he is an original 3-down back, I think, because he's got soft hands, he's aggressive, he is physical, not as fast as a running back, but he's a really physical runner. I don't like his style, how he runs the ball at all, but I must admit that he's great.
Yeah,
he is great. So I don't think that he will be the leading rusher, but I think that he will get the second position with rushing yards next season.
Yeah, I think that Jeff Wilson Jr. is a really good projection because it seems to me like if I'm right that the Niners are going to try to change their offense and be a little bit more in the shotgun, a little bit more pistol, running backs between the tackles, and maybe Trey Sermon outside the Trey Lance outside the tackles on zone reads. Well, then that fits Jeff Wilson perfectly. That's exactly how they used him last year on those RPOs with Jimmy Garoppolo. He's great at it. The only thing with Jeff Wilson is he's not that big. He's about 200 pounds. Yeah. He runs like he's 230. I love Jeff Wilson Jr. I love him. But he's 200 pounds. He gets hurt, and he'll fumble here and there. Mostert too. And I feel like he'll be above Trey Sermon in training camp on the depth chart. in preseason, probably week 1, week 2, because he's a hell of a player. And Trey Sermon is not even a professional yet. I guess it's going to be tough for you, Trey. But as soon as Jeff Wilson gets hurt or fumbles once, Trey Sermon will get an opportunity. And I think this guy's really, really good. Even though I was looking at where they ranked him on CBS and NFL, they had him lower. They had him more like close to 100. I thought that was I really like Trey Sermon. Whenever I watched Justin Fields, I came away from the game being like, yeah, I like his running back a lot. That's my takeaway from him. So I think this is a really good pick. And I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up leading the team in rushing, because I think that distinction will go to whichever person is the most durable. End of story. You know? I love Mostert.
Maybe. Yeah.
You got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And also, Mostert's so much better when the quarterback's under center, in my opinion. When the quarterback's under center and you're running outside zone, he's unstoppable. It's like guaranteed 8 yards.
Yeah.
But the shotgun is not necessarily his game. So.
Well, I must say that right now the best running back in this team is Raheem Mostert in every aspect of the game. In every aspect of the game. Great. But he's injury prone, and that's why I don't think that he will be your leading rusher. Although I think that there's no better rusher for running back for outside zone than Raheem Mostert is.
That's right.
And there will be no better. Yeah, and Trey Sermon just can't step into his place because he doesn't have that
speed.
Amazing speed and acceleration at the first steps that Raheem Mostert has.
Now, you may not remember, this was way back, like about 10 years ago, before you might have been watching as much American football, but do you remember Arian Foster?
Yeah.
Okay. Arian Foster was not fast, but he rushed for thousands of yards under Gary Kubiak in the outside zone scheme. And I think if Trey Sermon is going to, he did run some outside zone at Ohio State from the pistol, and the way he cut back, the way he executed it was very much like Arian Foster, who was quick but not fast. So I really like this Trey Sermon pick. I think he's going to be a baller. Give it a grade.
He will be about. For me, it's a B-, but I like the pick. I like the guy. I think he's just great. He is a great fit into this team, but there were so much more needs in the third round.
True.
That we could have filled with this pick. And I must say that in Kyle Shanahan's offense, a 3-legged mole can run 1,000 yards in a single season if he does what Kyle asked for. So so yeah, I don't think that running back was really a need for this team this season.
I liked it. I liked the whole idea of beefing up on the run game. The run game wasn't as good as it should have been last year. They don't need to be passing very much. This is a team that should be running 70% of the time. And every time Kyle Shanahan gets in trouble as a coach is because he's passing when he shouldn't be. Honestly, he's such a good run game coordinator, him and Mike McDaniel. When it comes to the passing game, they're nothing special. I think a lot of the interception issues are probably their fault because it carries over for all of their quarterbacks. So I like it. I think Trey Sermon was underrated in this class of running backs. I think he's as good as any running back in this class, honestly. I think he's that good. So I'm going to give it an A because I'm just Mr. Positivity here today. Let's talk about the next one because we're going to disagree on this one too. Ambry Thomas, end of round 3, cornerback with a lot of good physical traits, didn't play last year or anything. Is this their best pick?
No. And yes.
Okay.
No, because we should have drafted a cornerback earlier because there were some greater talents than he is. I do think that he will be rusty next season because 1 year without football is 1 year without football. I like his prototypical size. I like his speed. I like his intelligence. But to be honest, he's more likely the style he plays makes him think of him as a nickelback, not a real outside cornerback right now. Although I like his physicality and his size and everything about him, I just can't see him as a real outside cornerback.
I felt this was the reach of the draft. Now that I've gone back and looked at it, I mean, he has potential. He's 6 feet tall. He runs a 4.3. He had some picks and he played at Michigan. And that's like, wow, all that at the end of round 3, that's amazing. But I mean, he was ranked by CBS 128 and by NFL 132. This to me is the Niners missed out on that first crop of cornerbacks, which goes away quick. I mean, after about pick 35, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's just not as deep of a position as wide receiver, although it's just as important. And so they missed out. They didn't have any picks before 43. And they tried to find a diamond in the rough at 102. And so they reached a little bit on some traits. So we'll see if it works out. But most of the time, these are the kind of picks that don't. He didn't play last year. He's got like one season of production. It's like a hope. This is a Hail Mary on this one, I feel like. It's tough to find good corners this late in the draft. I know what they're trying to do. It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard, but
it's hard.
It's not impossible.
It's not impossible. And this guy certainly has the traits. I mean, it's not like they got a guy who's 5'10", runs a 4.5. Like, he's 6 feet tall. He runs a 4.3. He certainly has the potential to play man-to-man coverage on a lot of different wide receivers in the league. It seems like the Niners are switching their philosophy and they want smaller, mid-sized corners who play man-to-man.
Maybe they are doing that, but I really like this pick because finally we drafted a guy for a real need that this team has after that offensive guard pick, which I think was a reach as well.
Sure.
But I don't see him as a real outside cornerback. I don't see him as the next Richard Sherman or the next Jason Verrett. I don't think that he has that I don't know, that mentality that makes him like those guys.
Grade it.
It's an A- for me because finally we drafted a cornerback. And although I don't like the pick, I understand that that in the third round, at the end of the third round, it's a great pick.
I'd give it a B-. I mean, it fills a need. They needed to take a cornerback at this spot because they'd waited pretty long. But I just don't. I mean, he has bust potential. 1 year production, didn't play last year. A little nervous. I feel like it was a little bit of a reach. I understand it. If you wait this long. If they didn't take Ambry Thomas, the guy they would have taken after him at cornerback wouldn't have had really any shot to be good. This guy has a shot to be good. We'll see. Yeah. I just feel like one of these days the Niners are really going to have to spend like an actual high draft pick on a corner. They can't keep trying to find diamonds in the rough. It's harder than it seems. It's easier to be a wide receiver or running back. Anyway.
Yeah, I think right now one of the most important positions in the NFL is cornerback. That's why good cornerback prospects goes usually high on the draft, and finding a great cornerback later is so hard. The last team that could do that constantly was the Seattle Seahawks, back with the Legion of Boom, but that's all.
But then they were in zone. If you're trying to find guys who can like mirror and stick with the best athletes in the world, who are the wide receivers, man, you're not going to find that guy that's 102nd pick.
No.
Every team passed on this premium athlete 3 times, and he can just run around with and cover guys like DeAndre Hopkins and DK Metcalf, because that's what you're trying to find. You don't have anyone who can match up with DK Metcalf. That's what you've been trying to find, and you're hoping that Ambry Thomas can do it. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying if he can, hell of a pick, man. Everyone passed on this dude almost 4 times. Good job. Yeah.
Just a quick answer to Sean Sheeper, if I read his name correctly. Sorry, Sean. I may look tired or things like that, but after all, I really like this draft. I think it was one of our greatest drafts in our past few years, so I really like that. But I'm a Hungarian. I just cannot stay here as a positive guy at all. So I must show you guys that I'm always negative. So that's why you may not see me being happy.
Okay, next pick, round 5, Jalen Moore. Is he a guard or a tackle in your opinion?
He's more likely a guard for me.
Why?
Well, we know the story. Guy who was a tight end was converted into an offensive tackle and went one of our greatest tackles of all time, Joe Staley. But this guy is not Joe Staley.
No.
This guy is not Joe Staley.
No, he's not.
I think that he may be a bit undersized, although he dominated during his career in the offensive tackle position. But I think that we drafted him to be a swing tackle or something like that. I think that swing tackle position may suit him well. He can play guard. He can play tackle. He can be an all-around person in this offensive line. That's why we drafted him. That's all.
Yeah, I think he can play both. I think he can do both. I thought actually, in retrospect, he might have been their best pick. I mean, look, everyone like CBS and NFL both had him rated above Ambry Thomas. They both had this guy as like a third-round guy, late third. The Niners got him in the 5th round. He's 6'4.5", which is fine to play guard or tackle. His arms are a little bit longer than Aaron Banks. They're not quite 34 inches, but they're about like 34, 33 and a half. That's fine. And what you see about him is he's good in pass protection. He's freaking good in pass protection. He's quicker than Mike McGlinchey.
But he has a great flow. But he has
I know that's true. It's true. He gets knocked around too, and he has a problem with power. But so does Mike McGlinchey. Mike McGlinchey's 6'8", 290. This guy's 6'4", 310. He's much more compact. Give him a year or two in the NFL. I mean, he's not going to start at right tackle as a rookie, but give him a year in the Niners weight room. He might be, I think he has potential as a tackle. If he can kick slide like that, Mike McGlinchey's never been able to do that. That's been that's always been my thing with Mike McGlinchey is that as in pass protection, he's labored and mechanical, and you can't fix that. But this guy, I think, is really athletic and more compact than McGlinchey. I like his potential at tackle. I think he's got more upside than Justin School.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I really like the offensive line picks they made. I don't know. I thought they were pretty good.
He may be great, I think, but he needs so much time. I think that this draft was all about project picks for the 49ers.
Yeah.
Almost everyone that we have drafted is a project pick. And
look, I think he's good enough to. I think he's good enough to push McGlinchey, man. I think that's all that matters.
Yeah,
I think he's good enough to push McGlinchey. McGlinchey better come to camp in shape, ready to go, because this guy seems like at least a talented dude. We'll see. I give it. So you give it a what do you give it?
B.
B
or a B minus.
I give it an A. I like this one. But I hear you all. And
this is the first time. This is the first time ever when you are more positive than I am.
Well, hold on. We're not done. We're not done. How about Deommodore Lenoir, the cornerback at 172?
We drafted a nickel again. I understand that nickel will be a need after next year, but we have some time, and we had some more holes in our roster which should have been filled, and we drafted a nickel again. I don't like this pick at all.
I don't like it either. The more I look into it, it's like this was a major reach. CBS had him at 203. NFL had him at 259. This is just a nickelback who's not that fast. I mean, he played outside in the Pac-12, but he's not. He runs a 4.5. He's not that big. If he's going to play anywhere for the Niners, it's going to be nickel. And I don't know. It seems like they're still trying to fix the mistake of letting DJ Reed go.
Yeah,
DJ Reed was supposed to be their nickel. DJ Reed's a starting outside cornerback right now for the Seahawks, and the Niners had to do this because they let him go, and they got Deommodore Lenoir, who I don't see special traits from him.
Nope, he's fast, but I don't think that he can excel in zone coverage at all. I think that he's not good enough to be great in man coverage at all. He's just he's not big enough to cover tight ends or greater slot receivers. I just can't understand this pick.
I mean, is he gonna? Did they draft him because of his tackling and his blitzing, like K'Wan Williams? I don't know. This is, I think, the one I'm least enthusiastic about. The Deommodore, like really, the two offensive line picks, I was very enthusiastic about. I think the Niners are going to have a really good running game, and I think both of them are good in pass protection too. The cornerbacks, they needed to draft cornerbacks, but they made the decision to go offensive line first and to wait on corner, which is justifiable because I think it's equally hard to find good offensive linemen late. But if you wait on corner, you end up getting Deommodore Lenoir in round 5. I'm sorry. That's what happens. It's hard, man. I mean, you have probably better luck to find a good wide receiver at that point than a corner, but they need a corner. And they drafted DJ Reed in round 5. He ended up being good. So there's a chance. I just think this guy, I don't know, not the best.
Nope.
But
Not even close.
not the best. Shenko says, you talk about Hufanga yet? Dude, it's like a truck and plays faster than his 40, in my opinion. Health is the only question with this guy. Crazy potential. Funny you should bring him up.
Because
we're going to talk about him next. Is he a safety or a linebacker, in your opinion?
I think that he may be the best box safety since Cam Chancellor in the NFL. I think that he's some way between a linebacker and the safety. We have seen safeties converted into linebackers in the NFL. We know that Fred Warner was a safety as well before, and I think that they converted him in college into a linebacker, if I remember well. And I do think that Hufanga has that same potential, that he can play as a linebacker as well. I see him right now as a specialist for this offense, as a dime or as a weak side linebacker. I do think that he can succeed in both of those positions. And I really like this pick. I think that this may be my favorite pick this year's NFL draft.
Oh, wow.
The only thing that I'm a bit scared of is that he had tons of injuries during his career, and that makes me sad or scared about him. But and I don't see him as a replacement of Tart or Ward. I don't think that he can be a ball hawk like I don't know, Earl Thomas, for example, in his prime. But when he's close to line of scrimmage, this guy is a beast.
Yeah.
So yeah. I really like this pick. I think that this might be my favorite.
I think this is my favorite of the defensive backs that they picked. I think it's the last defensive back they took, but I think he's probably the best defensive back they took. He fell because of the injuries.
Yeah.
He's a 200-pound strong safety who plays like you compare him to Cam Chancellor. Cam Chancellor was like 235, and he plays like that.
Yeah.
But he's built like Jimmy Ward. And that's kind of the thing with Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward always threw his body around and it broke down because that's what happens when you're 200 pounds. The thing with Jimmy Ward is Jimmy Ward has 4.4 speed. I don't think this guy does. And if you're playing strong safety next to Jimmy Ward, Ward plays in the slot a lot, especially on third down. You see Tart playing in center field a lot, like not just high safety, but like single high. You have to have like 4.5 speed. And I don't know if this guy has it to play strong safety on the Niners. You see the Niners have been starting to move their strong safeties to linebacker. Demetrius Flannigan-Foles, Marcel Harris. If you can't play single high safety, that means you're now a linebacker on the 49ers. But that's okay. I mean, they seem to have a way to use these weak side linebackers as playmakers. One way or another, it seems like the Niners have a role for him on this team. I don't know what you call it.
I don't know. They may just make him a position in this team as a specialist on maybe short passing downs or things like that. I think that he will be successful during those run games and against run heavy teams and short passing teams.
And he definitely has starting potential. Like the guys on this team that have starting potential are Lance, Banks, Sermon, and maybe this guy. Maybe those four. I mean, Ambry Thomas, maybe. Jalen Moore, maybe. But this guy was an All-American in college. He just needs to not break his clavicle when he tackles.
I just want to see him destroy players in the NFC West. I just want to see that. I think this guy is amazing. My favorite.
Give it a grade.
A.
Me too.
No question.
Yeah, no question. All right. Final player. Will Elijah Mitchell make this team? The second running back they drafted. They haven't done that in 30 years.
Yeah, I wasn't even.
Last time they did it, Mike Shanahan might have been there. I don't know. Maybe
it wasn't even a plan in my parents' head when the 49ers drafted two running backs in the same draft. So I hate this pick.
Oh, wow.
I hate this pick. I've read a lot of articles when other guys said that they can understand why they choose him, but I would be surprised if he would just make it to the final roster. He is fast. he's extremely fast, and I like fast players. But to be honest, there's a difference between being fast on track and being fast with the pads on. And being fast with the pads on makes players like Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and Raheem Mostert really special. And although his starting speed and acceleration is excellent, he attacks the hole great, but on the open field, I don't see him making those separation that we are looking for a guy who run an extremely fast 40 yards dash. So he may be a kick returner or punt returner or a special teams gunner or something like that, but nothing more.
Look, I think he could be a kick returner. I like this pick. I'm all in on the Niners offensive picks in this draft. I think this is the kind of guy who might not play well on other teams. But look, I mean, yeah, he's 218 pounds. He runs a 4.3. Maybe he doesn't play 4.3 on the field. He's 218 pounds. He runs a 4.3. All right. You put him on this team with Kittle out there blocking on the edge, they're going to create yards for him. And he's just going to be able to get there with his burst. I think it's a great fit, and I think he's going to make the team. I think the guy who won't make the team is Wayne Gallman. I think that guy's gone. I think JaMycal Hasty's probably going to the JaMycal Hasty's okay, but he doesn't have 4.3 speed. He's pretty small. They don't need another guy like that. This guy they don't have a 218-pound running back who runs a 4.3. I think he's going to make the team and he's going to eventually replace Raheem Mostert. I think what this team wants to do is to have a total the entire Jimmy Garoppolo under center running game, and then the entire shotgun, zone read, pistol running game too. And this guy's going to be a really good fit for the under center stuff because he's so fast to get to the edge. Sermon's going to be a good fit for the shotgun stuff because he's so punishing between the tackles. I think they took him in round 6 for a reason. I think they really like him.
Oh, we will see.
We will see.
We will see.
All right, give it an F.
Nope. What
do you give it?
Not the type of guy. It's a D for me.
A D. Okay.
It's a D for me.
All right. I'm gonna give it an A because I want people to like it. All right. give this draft a final grade, knowing that really it's way too early. We're not gonna be able to know for 3 years. But what do you think right now?
I'm between an A- and a B.
Okay.
Between that. Well, after all, we filled our needs somehow. Although I don't, I waited for a wide receiver to be picked during the draft. I wanted a cornerback, drafted so much higher than we did during the draft. But to be honest, they did what they haven't did before, and they were great during the draft. I liked the work that the front office did. I liked that something happened with Kyle. I don't know what, but he he was just way better than he usually was during the draft, and John as well. So honestly, I like this draft, and this is the first draft since I don't know how many years that I really like. When I like all the picks.
I feel like I made the picks. I really like it too.
Yeah.
I really like it too. I'm not going to bash it because I feel like they took all of my suggestions. I will give it an A- as well. I feel like what they did to improve their running game and their offensive line is really a smart way to help a young quarterback, any quarterback. I like that. I think it was 2 offensive linemen, 2 running backs. I like it. I like it a lot. Now, what they did on defense, I'm not sure it's going to move the needle that much. I don't hate it, but they took three DBs after pick 100. Maybe one of them will end up being a starter. I mean, just like stepping back and looking at the odds here. I think Hufanga is very interesting. Ambry has the athleticism. Lenoir, I don't really see what the upside is there. So yeah, A-, but let's be realistic though. Let's be realistic. This draft grade 3 years from now is 100%, 99% dependent on Trey Lance. If Trey Lance is a failure, but Trey Sermon is a Pro Bowler and Aaron Banks is a Pro Bowler and Ambry Thomas is a Pro Bowler, people be like, yeah, but that was a failure of a draft because of Lance. And if Lance is great and no one else is good, people be like, who cares? They got Trey freaking Lance in this draft. So when you read like recaps and grades of this, just keep that in mind. We don't know. It's pretty much all dependent on one kid who's 20. We'll see. We'll see.
We will see. And I'm just really excited. I'm excited. I just want to see these guys performing for this team.
Yeah.
I just want to see them being great next season. I don't want to be a negative Hungarian guy again.
Imagine if the Niners live stream practice on their website and everyone could see what I see and watch all the mini camps and OTAs. I don't know why they don't do that. It's such a money-making opportunity. They would have crazy ratings. You're not, who cares? Every team should be required to do it. The league is missing out. What are they thinking? Anyway, I'll do my best to describe it and let you know what happens. I hope they do it, man.
Okay, I'm eagerly waiting for that. I just want to hear everything about the training camps.
Yeah, me too. Well, OTAs typically start in May and then go through May, and then minicamp is in June, and then there's 6 weeks off, and then their training camp starts. So fingers crossed. I mean, they're voluntary. I know the Players Association is sort of recommending players not to go, but if I were Trey Lance, I would freaking go.
Yeah.
If I were Jimmy Garoppolo, I would freaking go. That's all I'm saying. I'll be there if they invite me. Botond, thank you for the show.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Everyone, look out for Botond's draft grades coming out on All 49ers SI later today. The only Hungarian 49ers writer in the world. Botond, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'll be back later with Vish at noon Pacific. See ya.